resulting in serious injuries. Today, the man she collided with, who was suing her, took the stand.
After 8 months, I had to tell her to leave. I said, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you gotta leave. She didn't buy in to me not being the same person and coming into a relationship, and I'm not sure I'm going to get back to normal again.
How does his story compare with Gwyneth's story? We take a look at the body language.
I was skiing and looking downhill as you do, and I was skied directly into by Mr. Sanderson.
I got hit in my back so hard, and I just said, okay, you got to protect your face, you know, and your head, and that's the last thing I remember.
In tonight's Tank Takes, everyone talking about the somewhat awkward exchange between Gwyneth Paltrow and the attorney for Terry Sanderson. Tonight, we're asking, so, are they friends or foes? Get ready. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. Things heating up out in Park City, Utah. I think both the weather and what's happening inside the courtroom. It's the he said, she said. It is Gwyneth Paltrow against Terry Sanderson. He's a retired optometrist. Gwyneth Paltrow, you know, A-list celebrity. They collided on the slopes in Deer Valley. He says he got hurt, like really bad, broken ribs, concussion, permanent brain damage. He's no longer the same person he was. Gwyneth Paltrow said, yeah, she had an owie on her knee for a little bit, but no big deal. She says he crashed into her, and he says she crashed into him. That's what the case is all about. Gwyneth Paltrow testified on Friday. Today, Terry Sanderson, the second half of the she said, he said. Let's listen to what he said when he was being cross-examined and put on the spot by Gwyneth's attorney.
Do you recall your head being downhill or uphill?
Absolutely downhill. I was going down, and absolutely.
So several witnesses say the opposite, and you disagree?
I disagree, absolutely, because I couldn't get up.
You agreed that saying I'm famous was a crazy thing to say. Agree?
Absolutely, it's not me. I don't buy into that.
But it was you, right? Just to be clear. When you say it wasn't me, it was in fact you.
It's the other personality that's inhabiting my body right now.
And you blame Gwyneth Paltrow for that?
Yes, no question.
In terms of your anger, do you agree you sought therapy for anger management about 10 years ago?
I don't.
Or 15 years ago. I guess 06, about the time of your second divorce. Because if you deny it, we're going to pull it up.
I don't remember that purpose, but yes, okay.
You texted about Whitney, the toboggan person, how happy you were with her. True?
I did, yes. Give her full credit.
And we both read it. It's pretty articulate, pretty detailed, right?
It is.
You knew you were being subjected to a brain test, like a memory test.
Well, I'm not. Okay, go ahead.
Right? Didn't you tell us that? When she said, I want you to remember some things.
Yes, oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, you knew you were being subject to a brain memory test.
I've never focused so hard.
And you came through with flying colors, right?
I did.
You knew them all?
I did.
All right, let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae, joining us live tonight from Park City, Utah. Are you inside right now, or are you outside? Is it that warm?
No, I am definitely inside.
Oh, it's that cold?
Gloves and scarf.
Okay.
Weather, yes, it's that cold.
But it warmed up inside the courtroom, and it's been hot, actually, in the courtroom throughout. So let's talk about what's happening there, and let's start. We've got a little problem with one of the jurors now?
Well, Vinny, this is something that came up very quickly, but wanted to highlight it so people don't miss it. It's something that was kept a little bit hush-hush, but we heard or learned that one of the attorneys, a staff member of one of the attorneys, felt that the juror, a woman juror, was smiling at Gwyneth Paltrow and that may be problematic, that the judge may need to address it. The judge believed that it was only incidental and didn't feel the need to do anything going forward to that juror. So that juror is still sitting there. I'm not sure which juror it is yet. We only know it's, we know the juror number, but they sit out of order. So we're going to try and figure out which one it is. I actually thought it might be a male juror that I saw smiling at her when she was testifying on Friday. You see her there. She was really engaging when she was testifying. She was looking over at them and sometimes smiling, but the smiling didn't cause a disruption in the panel. We still have 8 jurors and 2 alternates. Okay,
and I get it, right? Gwyneth Paltrow, I mean, if you agree with her, there were some light moments during the testimony, and it's interesting, though. It's interesting, right? Because we're going to see who this jury likes more and believes is more credible. It's a straight-up he said, she said. But today, so I'm watching the trial, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Is that the GoPro video? And I was like, oh, no, it's an animation. Tell me about what this video was that this jury's watching today.
Can I just say about the GoPro video, though, this has been the biggest tease of this trial because we thought there may be GoPro video. Even today, when they confirmed that there is no GoPro video on the other side of that meetup link, the defense attorney, Stephen Owens, has still mentioned a GoPro link, and he's asked the other side to make sure they don't mention the GoPro link. So I'm not sure if we still may see some kind of GoPro video, but all the witnesses on the stand have said there is no GoPro video. They've never seen it. But today we saw a recreation, a rendering. It's not going to be evidence, but it's a demonstrative aid for the ski instructor who was on the stand. And you see it there. This gives you a real picture of that bunny slope because they use the actual slope and pictures of it to create this. And that's supposed to be Sanderson there in the blue. And this is from the perspective of the ski instructor who was in front of Paltrow's children. He looked away for a moment, but then when he looked back is when he saw these two tangled together. He denies that Paltrow caused this. He said that she would not have been the one who was behind Sanderson, that he was the one who was behind her and hurt her, and said that this impact wasn't that great because their skis stayed on. He would think that in a collision that it has the kind of impact that the plaintiffs are talking about, that their skis would have come off. But we know that Sanderson suffered 4 broken ribs, and we're right now in the defense case. But we still are going to have more from Terry Sanderson on the stand because his cross-examination is not over.
Yeah, yeah, I think you make a great point, though. You can't argue that there was not some real impact here if he broke ribs, right? You can debate whether or not there's a permanent brain injury. You can debate perhaps whether or not there was a concussion or how serious it was. But he broke ribs. So something happened here, and there was absolutely some level of contact and impact that caused that. That slope, that seemed pretty steep to me. Am I just a little chicken?
I'm not an avid skier, so I wouldn't know, but it did look like a more advanced slope. But we've been told that Bandana Run is not any kind of an advanced slope. The ski instructor on the stand today, who's got 40 years experience, he said that Paltrow was taking very careful moves, small radius turns while she was staying in the right lane, which is also considered the safe lane, just like in driving. But that Sanderson was on the left side making these big turns. So it seems like there were just a lot of people out that day, but I mean, just looking at it from this rendering, which is the first time we're really getting to go there, it feels like it's a pretty steep hill.
And there's Sanderson in the blue, Paltrow in the black, and what they're saying is he kind of swoops over to the right as maybe she's doing a little radius turn. And Ramos is the eyewitness who testified for Sanderson is like way in the back, right? He's behind everyone according to these renderings that were done.
Right, Craig Ramone, he would have been about 40 feet behind all of this, says that he saw it. He got called back to the stand today to talk about some of the posts he made on Meetup afterward. You can tell he was gung-ho about Paltrow being at fault for this right in the hours and days after this happened. He said to his friends on this Meetup group that he was so mad that she hit Terry and then just took off.
Well, I'm looking at that rendering, and we don't see the crash, right? I get it. But I see someone moving to the left and someone moving to the right. I think they both crashed into each other. Am I crazy? That from their perspective, you crashed into me. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. That's what we're talking about here.
And you know what that would explain? That would explain this determination that you see from both of them inside of the courtroom. So confident in their own position that they were not the ones at fault, and they're willing to take this all the way to a jury. It's about money, but not necessarily about money. It seems more for these two people who are both well off. Of course, Gwyneth Paltrow is very well off, but Terry Sanderson seemed to be in a comfortable position in his own right, an optometrist who was traveling the world at the time in his retirement. But they just don't seem to think it's fair that someone else can say, you did this to me. But what if they just both ran into each other?
Yeah, that's what I'm taking away from that animation, by the way. So the way and again, reading the people, I think you're so right. From the testimony I've heard from his daughters, et cetera, it seems like for Terry Sanderson, this has become an obsession of his now. Like everything in his life, and I've seen this as a lawyer, I've had clients like this who get very obsessed on their litigation. And it becomes the focus of their life. Sometimes it's connected to something that's happening to them mentally, but they get focused on the litigation. And somehow that will be the savior in their life. From Gwyneth Paltrow's perception, I'm not giving money to some guy who crashed into me. I'll just take him to court. I don't care. I don't care. We'll go to Utah. I'm not going to give somebody money who's blaming me. That's what I'm seeing. You're making everything so clear tonight, Julie Janae. Amazing. So what's still ahead in this case?
Well, this case has gotten jumbled, in my opinion, because as I mentioned, the plaintiff was on the stand today. They hit the pause button after he had a bit of cross-examination, and his cross-examination is going to continue. The plaintiffs didn't rest. The defense said they have important witnesses, the Deer Valley Resort employees, the ski instructor that had to go today. So they paused the plaintiff's case, the defense started, and the defense is going to continue until they call all of these witnesses. Also some witnesses that we thought we were going to hear from, the husband, then partner, now husband of the actress defendant, Brad Falchuk. He's not going to be taking the stand anymore, neither are their kids, Apple and Moses, because the defense says the timing just hasn't worked out. And so they are just going to read their depositions into the record instead.
All right, Julie Janae, with all the big information. I'm glad you found a spot inside. Smart move. I think you should stay there. Way too cold outside. Julie Janae in Park City, Utah tonight. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, who is now older than Johnny Depp, Julian Lennon, Jeff Bezos, Nicolas Cage, Brad Pitt, and Michelle Obama, as he hits a milestone tonight, Al Wunsch III. Joining us from Stamford, Connecticut, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crosland, who is younger than Al, and in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, younger than all of us, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone.
Wonderful.
Hi, Jay.
All right.
Happy birthday, Al.
Thank you.
So
Thank
should
you
we
very
begin
much.
the questioning with the oldest first? Are you okay with that, Darnell?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's go to the senior member of the panel tonight.
Thank you.
When do you become a senior citizen? I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up during the commercial. Al?
According to IHOP, 55, I can get the reduced menu.
You've been getting that menu for quite some time. That's all I'm saying. For quite some time. So what do you think of my analysis? Now, it wasn't evidence, right? But this is the first time the jury's got the feel of that slope. And from and this is coming through the testimony of the ski instructor, what he says he saw, it looks like one's going left, one's going right. They don't see each other. Like, if you watch this, he's in blue, she's in black. Looks like he's catching up to her. He's going to make a turn to the right. She's coming to the left. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. That's what it is.
Yeah, I will tell you that entire video presentation just made me dizzy more than anything else. Watching them go down that hill, it was just ridiculous. And then the entire time, I was like, you know, you're right. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, wait a minute, you're right. They probably swerved right into each other. And that's what happened. So, in other words, he got to meet a famous celebrity by accident.
There you go. Darnell, so what do you think happens now? Do you think, now the jury's told it's not evidence. They're told this is just demonstrative, but you know this is like, they're all like, oh my goodness, this is it. So let's see what happened.
Well, a couple things come to play. I've been watching this trial all week as well. And I said Camille Vasquez, and Al agreed with me, wasn't nothing to write home about. But after seeing the way these lawyers are performing here, I think Camille Vasquez is like Michael Jordan compared to these lawyers. I don't understand what's happening here. I'm watching this case with frustration. I mean, the exchange between Amber and the lady in the blue, I don't even know her name. She says, let me have a drink first. And they're just like, they're in their bedroom or something. I don't understand what's happening. But I do know that, as to your point with why Paltrow took it this far, she had to say to herself, I'm not going to let Amber one-up me. I'm taking this to court. Now that they're in court, the star witness, they say to him, you said that I'm going to be famous. He says, no, that's the other personality that's inhabiting my head or my body. I don't know what's happening with this trial, but I do think the jury is having a good time, and at the end of it, they're going to have to pick which one they like the most. But there's not a lot of evidence here that's showing fault, at least beyond the standard that needs to be shown. So we'll wait and see.
Jennifer Bray, you know what just happened? Darnell Crosland just wunched you. He just wunched you. He took.
Oh my gosh, Vinny! I go first next time. I go first.
She's going first next time. We'll go start with the youngest. All right, when we come back, we're going to dive deep into Terry Sanderson's testimony today. What he was saying, the impact of this. He gets emotional. It's really fascinating to watch. That's next. Gwyneth Paltrow.
The Hollywood actress being sued for a ski collision.
This is a he said, she said on the slopes.
The injured skier claims Paltrow ran into him, causing serious physical harm.
I'd like to be vindicated.
She denies the allegations and is countersuing for $1.
Now, a jury will decide, and Court TV will bring it all to you.
The Gwyneth Paltrow SkiCrash case. Live coverage weekday mornings at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
I came around that corner, and it takes my breath away to think this is hard, because I don't like going through this scene. I just remember everything was great, and then I heard something I've never heard at a ski resort, and that was a blood-curdling scream. Just, I can't do it. It was, and then, boom. It was like somebody was out of control and gonna hit a tree and was gonna die.
Some dramatic testimony, but let me tell you, there's two versions of what's going on here, and I'm getting closer and closer to thinking that they crashed literally into one another. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We've got more to get to. Terry Sanderson, the other half of the she said, he said, testifying today. Here he is talking about the damage part of the case, right? If you're a plaintiff, you got to prove liability. She crashed into me, and then you've got to prove the damages, what that did to you. And it is kind of sad where he is in his life right now. Let's take a listen.
Have things in your life changed?
I'm like living another life now.
How have you changed physically since the accident?
Well, I can't ski anymore. I was told that if I did and had another crash, that I could wind up full-time in a nursing home. The odds of that's very high.
Do you still go and do fun things and have that zest for life?
I've been self-imposed 90%. Staying in the house, a recluse, self-imposed recluse, just not feeling as fun, not feeling as engaged in other things, just don't have that same spark I had, and don't feel the same about when I go to places.
Since the ski collision, have you still traveled?
I have traveled, and as part of the problem, I'm just easily confused about things. So I usually request having somebody else along. I had one friend when we had planned a trip to Europe, a physician's assistant, and my yoga instructor, and she decided right before the trip, Terry, I don't like you anymore. I don't know what's different. You're a different person. I don't like you anymore, and canceled her.
How'd that make you feel?
It was like, oh my gosh, I'd known her as long, and one other one as well, as long as I've lived here, almost 5 years, I'm guessing, at that time. And it's like personality, like that's something that develops from the time you're a child. What do you do about a personality issue? Something's changed. I don't know, more aggressive. I was in the groove of my life at that stage. I had a lady in my life that I dearly loved, and we just did everything together and spent, I believe it was 2 years together, and had cleaned up our lives and physically great shape. Both of us like to hike and walk and travel, and really were enjoying our lives. And we spent some time in St. George, where she's located, and I spent some time here. It was wonderful. We cleaned up the businesses of homes and combining homes and parents' homes, and we had, she, as I hope everybody noticed, she is an amazing woman, and so I had a great deal of connection with her.
We heard her testify last week. She's a catch. Why'd you let her go?
In my choice, I wouldn't have, but I had to, after 8 months, I had to tell her to leave. I said, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you gotta leave. And
Why'd you tell her to leave?
I knew she didn't buy into this. She didn't buy in to me not being the same person and coming into a relationship. And I said, I'm not sure I'm going to get back to normal again. And I don't want you to feel like that I'm a crippled vet and you're going to stick it out with me, because I know you would. Half a brain or whatever. I know you would, but don't do it. You need your life. You run right now. And it was a sad time for both of us, I know. And she's in a great relationship with Bill now, and that was the purpose. And I think better than what I would have brought.
I told you it was sad. Let's bring back in the think tank Al Wunsch, Darnell, Crosland, Jennifer Brandt with us. Al's like making all these things, they're watching this thing. Jennifer, what did you think? I mean, to me, I think this guy's life is not great. I guess the question is, why isn't it great? Or do you think he's making this stuff up?
Well, Vinny, I mean, his life may not be great, but whether it's not great because he had a collision with Gwyneth Paltrow or not, that's the question that we're really asking here. And just the way he testifies, and he's very articulate. He seems intelligent. He doesn't seem like someone who has a brain injury. You listen to him, and it sounds like there's nothing wrong with this guy. I mean, it's very hard to believe that, you know, he's having all these problems and he can't maintain a relationship and he doesn't do anything fun. He's very nicely dressed. He looks very dapper. He speaks very well. He seems to get around okay. So it's really hard to listen to that and believe him. It's just not believable at all. So I don't think he's a very credible witness. And I think the jury's going to say, look, this guy saw an opportunity. He had a collision with a movie star, and he decided to go for a payday, unfortunately. So I think that's what's going to happen here.
Al?
Let me tell you something, okay? This guy is just horrendous. His whole life has changed as a result of a skiing accident, PTSD on a skiing slope. Franz Klammer, okay, went off of a ski ramp, tumbled 14 million times, fell down, everything else, got up, and still continued to ski, okay? And his skis came off. So how hard could this guy have been hit?
Yeah, but he wasn't like 60 years old, like this guy.
But let's face it.
You know, it changes, though. Once you get like 60 years old, Al, it's just a different situation when you're a little bit older. I would think you, of all people on this panel, have a little more sympathy for the plaintiff here.
For the geriatrics of, yes. Of the crew? Well, let me tell you something, Vin. 1984, okay? Don Bosco versus Passaic. I go down on a punt return, and I have to tackle Craig Ironhead Haywood, okay? He and I collide like two bull elephants, all right? I go down, I'm out. As a result, though, I was able to soften him up to such a point that he only was able to get 75 yards on that run and not run for the touchdown. I'm on the field, I'm out, okay? This is what they did for me, okay? They came up to me and they said, how many fingers do I have up? And they said 3, so they told me the answer. And they put smelling salts under my nose. And I got back in and I played the game.
And we see the results every Monday night here. Darnell, what do you think of Terry Sanderson? I think, I heard the testimony from his daughters as well. And from the woman that he lost, that he was with, that there was something different about him after this accident.
Oh, Terry, I tell you this, Vinny. You don't have to be an optometrist to see what's happening here. Terry wants a payday. He says he can't come out the house. He's self-imposed into the house. Give him $300,000 or $3 million, whatever he wants. He'll be back out that house in a second. And in terms of his friends, what friends tells him, Terry, I don't like you anymore. Just like that. If somebody's hurting and they're friends for so long, they try to help you. They don't just say, I don't like you anymore. He's laid this thing out so perfectly to show this jury that he has no friends. He doesn't come out of his house, and he let his girlfriend go. And the lady in blue,
there she is. And she showed up at court with her new man.
Oh, God.
But the bottom line was, like, she said he was different. He's a different guy.
Yeah, so now, and the lawyer said, she was such a catch. How'd you let that one go? I told her to go. Come on. Like, come on, really?
You're not, no one's buying.
I have to be like the Italians. When the Italian people are confused or they want to stress a point, they go, come on. So I have to say, come on.
This week is the Italians.
Impersonation. Isn't he wonderful with these impersonations? Every week he does a different impersonation. All right. I can't wait to the Fiddler on the Roof trial.
Al, okay. Darnell, Jennifer, stay there. When we come back, we're going to do a little comparison. Gwyneth Paltrow on the stand. Terry Sanderson on the stand. We're going to examine their body language. Who comes across more credible? Next.